What is purpose? Purpose is a noun, and it is the reason for which something is done or created or which something exists. A person's sense of resolve or determination. On purpose, the phrase means intentionally, which is something that I really want to focus on, because a lot of the things that I do, I want to always identify the intention behind it. So purpose actually is your intention behind something. So these are, if you have a pen and paper, or if you take notes on your phone or any device, whatever, these are some great things, and I have it listed so that you can see it. But one of the things that I want to ask is, like, what do you love? Like, what do you love doing? What do you love that has an intention behind it? You know, we can be really in love with different aspects of our life, but that isn't necessarily our purpose. Like, I would say that I love animals, and I love helping animals in need. That isn't necessarily my passion as far as my job. Like, that isn't, I don't want to work in a rescue situation. I'm very sensitive to animals' well-being, and I think that that would be really hard for me. So I do love that. And I love that with the intention of helping behind it, but I also don't think that I could stomach that as a job. So thinking about things like that and asking yourself some questions, because that's where we start getting answers, is when we start asking those questions. So I think right now in our society and with social media, that living your purpose is very, like, I'm gonna say it this way, over glamorized. And I'll say why I think that. I think that it's glamorized in the way that you don't see people in kind of the crap, like doing their admin work, creating content, dealing with social media, you know, prospecting, following up with clients. Like, living your purpose doesn't have to mean that your purpose is your full-time job or your career. And I think that a lot of people out there over glamorize it and say it's for everyone, and I really don't think it is. So I want to say that. And there's no guilt or shame in you having a job that you really enjoy, that affords you the time, the energy, the money to do things that you really enjoy. So if you have a great position at a company that you've worked at for years, and that affords you the time to travel, or the time to, you know, follow some things that you really enjoy doing, or do something as a side business, there's nothing wrong with that. So I want to say that there is no guilt or shame around that. And that, you know, different people are at a different place with purpose. You know, is it something that you've always wanted to do? Did you know as a kid, like, you know, what did you want to do when you were a kid? Before everyone started telling you that you couldn't do things or that it wasn't possible, what did you want to do? And like, when I think back, I wanted to work with animals. I wanted to be a veterinarian. And then, like I said, I'm very sensitive and I don't really want to do that. But I am passionate about helping animals. I use that as an example. And then, you know, so there are some people who have developed that purpose at a very young age, and they continue to follow that purpose throughout their life. And that's something that they've always known, and I think that's really beautiful. Is it something that you're discovering along the way? You know, as you go through life, you try different things, and you either find that you have an interest for it, and that you develop some skill in that, and that you enjoy it, or you decide that it's not something that you should do. Like, when I was a child, I was in gymnastics, and I was not very flexible. And it came to a point where, you know, we just figured out that I was just not very good at it. I'm not the right body type per se, or like I wasn't flexible. I wasn't good at the balance beam. I kept falling off. So my parents found other sports for me to try that I might be better at. So I tried it. I enjoyed it. It wasn't for me, you know, and that's okay. Or is it something that you have no idea? You know, I think that those are kind of the three places that people can come from, where it's something that you've always known, even when you were a child. It's something that you're figuring out along the way, or it's something that you have no idea about at all. So I think that there's kind of those three categories. And identifying your purpose through three different things. If you see a pattern here, it's because I like a pattern of three. And I also like cold brew coffee, so I'm gonna take a little sip. If you like cold brew coffee, side note, Trader Joe's has cold brew bags that you just steep in a pitcher of water, and those are delicious. So if you're thinking about trying them, try them. So identifying your purpose. What are your interests? Like, what are you interested in? Is there something that you like really enjoy doing or you've always wanted to do? Have you wanted to take dance lessons? Do you play a musical instrument and want to be part of a band? Do you have, do you, like for me, I've ridden horses my whole life. Do you like to do something like that? Do you have a hobby or something that you're interested in? I would make a list of the things that you're interested in, and then make a list from that of things that you have skills in. What are your best skill sets? Are you a good communicator? Are you very organized? Things like that. By making categories and writing these things down, this will help you so much, because I think that we can all have this dream, but unless we really focus and look at how we can take steps to figure out what this is, we don't really know. And then by doing this, we're moving ourselves forward. So then, do you have a unique or viable skill? I mean, viable is something that you could grow and make money with. And then, like, persistence. Is it something that you would persist on, even if you were not that, even if you were getting no's, if it wasn't working out? Is it something that's important enough to you to keep moving forward on? Because if you keep trying, you will get an answer, and sometimes the answer is no. And that's okay, because then you know that that is not for you, so then you steer yourself in a different direction, which is helpful. And no, it doesn't mean that you are a failure or there's something wrong with you. I get no's every day. I love what I do, and I'm passionate about my purpose, and not everyone sees the value in that, but I continue to persist, and I have the skill set to make that move forward. So I feel really good about that. And if I just gave up, that wouldn't be the thing for me. So that's okay, or just changing my skill set, hiring a business coach, finding people to work with that help me by challenging me and keeping me on track. It's really, really integral. There it is. Sometimes I stumble over my words. So if you are willing to persist in the face of challenge, then you probably, like, if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to keep moving forward, if you fail at something and you really want to work towards it and get better at it, then you're probably not going to have the outcome that you want. Because if you're not willing to do the things that are not so fun, then you're not going to get the thing that you really want, if that makes sense. So when you find things that you don't like or that you're not good at, like when I started my business Perfectly Prepared, I started as a personal trainer in 2003, long time ago. Anyways, so I started as a trainer at Bally Total Fitness, and I actually hated personal training. Like, I loved the idea of helping people be healthy and identify ways to move forward, to look more of the way they wanted to feel, and to help them learn about food and things like that. And I was so excited about it, but I found that my clients, and I was young, I found that my clients were not willing to do the work. Like, they would show up and get three sessions with me a week, and wouldn't be willing to change the way that they ate so that they could get the result they wanted. So they weren't willing to make that sacrifice of a donut for breakfast every morning to have what they wanted. So there was a disconnect. And it was hard for me to work with people who didn't share the passion that I had for it and the purpose that I had for it. So I felt like I was failing because I for some reason wasn't able to get people to see it the way that I saw it, or that the way that I wanted to share it. And that was really hard for me. I remember this one client, and it was this woman, and she said, I have a donut every day with coffee. And I was like, well, there are some better choices that you can make with foods every day, and you can definitely have the donut once in a while, but just trying to get that in like integrated in somebody's thought system if they're not ready for it was really hard for me. So as I persisted and I started competing in fitness competitions, I started competing in 2006, and I found that I could follow that passion for myself, my passion for, nutrition and training, and follow it that way. I eventually started coaching clients through my company, Perfectly Prepared, and I started offering all of the services. I offered training, I offered nutrition, I offered, posing and all kinds of different things. But I realized over the years that the nutrition and training part weren't something that I was passionate about, and that there were other people that were so much more passionate about it than I was. And those are the people that should be working with clients, and not somebody like me who was like, it's okay. I want somebody to share their passion. So then, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I failed, I didn't fail. I learned something about myself and I put it into practice. So then I specialized, and what I coach there is posing, presence, and mindset. And that isn't, I'm not a posing coach. I coach posing, presence, and mindset. And those are three things that work together that I really was passionate about, and I loved that purpose. And I let go of the things that didn't serve me, and I was so much happier when I did that. I was able to serve my clients better. I was able to dive into things that I believed in more and talk about mindset and how that is the foundation of all of those other things. So I really enjoyed that. So by saying no to the things that I wasn't really passionate about, or that I wasn't really purposeful with, I could say yes to the things that I was. And, fast forward now to 2018, where I'm starting this new brand, and I'm really passionate about creating community, creating connection, and helping people move forward with their life, discovering who they are, connecting deeper to themselves, and just helping them unleash what they have inside. So that's why the brand is called Unleash Your, because it's whatever you want. Unleash your passion, unleash your purpose, unleash your why, And so I'm really excited to move forward with this, but I wouldn't have learned, by going through all of those other things, I have learned what I want to move forward on and what I do not. But unless I try, then I don't know, So there is no shame in trying and finding out that something is not for you. And I want to say that, our purpose does not have to be our career or main source of income. There is no guilt or shame around that. And that's okay. This started at my business, Perfectly Prepared, started out as a side gig for me. It was something that I enjoyed doing on, part-time, that I wasn't full-time in. I didn't know that it would catch on like it did, and that at the height of my business, I would be taking people across the country to different national and international competitions. I had no idea. So it was a really fun thing to go through, and I was also working a full-time job and doing that as kind of my side business, but it became my full-time because I found a way to make that sustainable for me. So it can be a hobby. It can start out as a hobby, and it can be a side business, and that might be to where the extent of your purpose goes, because you have, satisfaction in other areas of your life. And there's nothing wrong with that. It can be a hobby. It can be a side business, and it can be something that is only available to you because of your current situation, because of your job, because of your income. And that's okay too. Everyone is here on this earth and has a purpose, and sometimes it's not always just the only thing that you should do for work, because honestly, sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes it feels like people are not buying what you're selling and you have to keep going. There are a lot of not so glamorous things that you have to work on. It is hard to do admin work. It is hard to find motivation to create content sometimes when you're not feeling creative. It's sometimes hard to ask for help or to ask for validation, because if you have your own business, nobody tells you that you're doing an awesome job every day. It is you by yourself, unless you work with somebody else, and it can be challenging. And it's nice to have, a business coach and some production people that help you keep on track, but it can be really lonely sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. So it's not, if you do this as a job, it's the mundane things that you really have to get motivated to do. It's the daily grind. It's getting on social media. It's connecting with your audience, and like, how can I serve these people, and moving forward on that. I have a business coach, and it was really hard for me because for a long time I saw social media as such like the enemy. I saw it as such a like necessary evil, but I hired somebody to help me, and they helped me turn my mindset around on it and see it as a tool to connect with people, a tool to serve people, a tool to create meaningful conversations and content and bring value to people's lives. So as soon as I was able to connect with that person and have that kind of realization and an aha moment, I was like, man, I can do so many fun things. And like, this is one of them, is being on lives with, people that want the things that I want to provide, is creating community and connection. So I had to change my mindset around that. And that's something that I coach. So it doesn't mean that just because you're good at something that you don't have to work on it. So now I'm excited about social media, and now I use it as a tool, and it's fun. But without somebody whose expertise is in that area, I don't know that I would have found that. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes that you don't see with people who seem to be living the dream, if you will. And I think that that's misleading, where it also kind of feels a little dishonest, where people don't talk, not everyone is this way, but a lot of people don't talk about their daily grind. They don't talk about like finding the motivation to do this. They don't talk about how they have to learn these new skills. Like, I didn't go to school for business. So there are a lot of things that I have to outsource so that I can have the help that I need to move forward. So, and it's true, you don't always succeed. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because whenever you don't succeed at something, either you persist and you say, hey, you know what, this is important enough to me. I really want to move forward with this. How do I do it in a better way? It helps you like reinvent yourself, come with fresh ideas, and move forward. Or if it's something that's just not moving forward, then you let it go and you find something else. It feels amazing to say like, hey, I want to write a book. I want to have a podcast, all of these things. It's scary. And when I think about it, like having those things, it also, like when we fantasize or dream about something, it comes with the lack of judgment that isn't going to be the way it is. It also comes with like not actually doing the work. Like, I am writing a book right now, and I will tell you that I'm stuck. I have an outline. I know what I want to write about. I need to be really clear about moving forward how I want to do it, but it is not easy, and it is not fun sometimes, and it's not like I feel always inspired to do this. That's the truth, and I can put it down, come back to it when I feel inspired and have, so many ideas, but I have the foundation, and now I just need to build on it. But I also have a podcast. And it's learning how to do these skills. Like, I'm working on a podcast. And I believe in talking about it. Like, a lot of people are like, don't say anything about it. I feel like I say something about it so that I can create some accountability, because if I don't say it, then I don't really have any accountability, and it's not going to be a surprise, which is fine with me. I just need to put in the work so I can make that thing happen. So that's kind of, that actually is part of the fun part for me. Hi, Candace. Thank you for joining. So that's part of the fun part for me, is saying the thing that I'm scared of. I am scared of writing a book. I am scared of doing a podcast. But I'm scared not in a way that I'm afraid to do it, but sometimes the work is not the most fun, and that is okay. So I want to also say that, like, the key to finding your passion, finding your purpose, discovering what serves you and how you can serve is consistency. Like every day I get up, I show up, and I do my best. Like every day you can get up, show up, and do your best, and that's the best that you can do. And are you willing to push through, when it gets a little challenging? Like that is, I think that's the number one determining factor of if it's something that you're actually passionate about. If that's your purpose, then you keep pushing. So I kind of want to end with that.